Hello everybody, and this will be my second video for Mental Health for Men in the month of that's looking at the support of men's mental health. Now, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the youth growing up, the younger men, and slightly on fatherhood. Now, in my last video, I talked about kind of the overall challenge to mental health. I'm going to be a little bit more specific this time and go into the three, or what I see as the three main factors associated with the um, reduction or growth of mental health and seeing more now the challenges of mental health. So, the top three factors I would say is accomplishment, um, family dynamics, and speed. Now, and we're going to get a little bit more into it. First, I'll tell you the solution. I think the solution to these three challenges essentially is learning a, a creative art or a trade where hard work is needed. Then, after time is passed, somebody can create something that is beautiful and feel accomplished by that. A lot of the challenge we're seeing is that all our accomplishments have external value and not so much internal value. So if we're using the external to fulfill the internal, we'll always need to get more of that thing. We'll always keep striding and driving and pushing ourselves to go faster and do more because we're not getting the same fulfillment. But in a kind of apprentice like tradesmanship, we might become a jeweler or a goldsmith. And after a few years of apprenticing, you start to see your skills improving, and you can see your master or your leader um, how their craft is done. This way, you see the end product and you respect the time it takes, and you gain the skills slowly over time to put it into the reality of how long something actually takes to get done. And that's going to lead us into our first topic of speed. Now, because of the internet, technology, and all those things, the world is going faster. Not surprised there, but the larger impact of this really happens on the young men um, and ladies, but we're specifically talking about men today. And in this way, accomplishment seems to be unreal. What you can do on Facebook, what you can do on YouTube, what you can do on Instagram seemingly happens overnight. Not only that, there's this need for guidance, um, and this need again to feel like you've accomplished something. So, taking in so much information, again, from the internet, not from a book, not from years of research, but just taking it in so quickly and using a search engine essentially just tells me what I want to hear about the topic because I'm putting in the keywords. And this has a warping concept of reality, mainly because um, children grow up in a world where there is nothing before technology. In that way, they don't have a grounding element to see what it was like without it, and then their reality is just based in speed. Um, and this creates a stress factor in the mind because if I mentally think something is supposed to take 5 days and it takes a year, that time that it takes the year after those 5 days, I'm under stress. My brain can't come up with a solution to get where I want, but it should happen now. Because it's not happening now, I'm frustrated and nobody's helping me. Why is nobody teaching me these things? And, this motivational speaker says all I need is these things, and, I just need to be determined and passionate. And I am determined and passionate. However, cultivating determination and passion from a place where it's stable takes years. These things are characteristic traits, which is like part of your whole personality. So to develop them, you have to do a lot of uh, direct internal work, and then you have that thing, and not in a way of bragging. So I'm strong, I'm powerful, but in a way of quiet confidence. This is the more powerful version that's sustainable. Now, that's a quick nutshell on speed. Let's move on to family dynamic. Now, again, you see speed here. Because of the pace of life, mom has a job, dad has a job. They're bringing work home because they can, that whole technology thing. And on top of that, what's being required of them or what they feel they should get done is most likely not humanly possible. Although a machine can run 24 hours, a human cannot run 24 hours. A machine doesn't need creativity, fun experiences, and new things to be able to function at its optimal capacity. Humans do. Computers um, are efficient, and people are effective. One needs creativity, one doesn't really need that. So you can see how pushing ourselves the 8-hour day would stop, or 10 actually. I think there was 12-hour days happening back in the day. And at the end of that, you come home and you'd be physically tired. Now you have maybe an 8-hour day or 6-hour day, but your mind has been running for 12 to 16 hours to deal with the stressors coming at. And mental pressure needs a release a lot differently than the body does. And if we don't release it, it builds. And then you'll see frustration, anger, aggression, fatigue, and all these other things kind of playing out. And the fatigue we have now mainly is a mental fatigue acting on the body as opposed to a physical fatigue of the body. We're not moving enough to make our bodies actually tired, but we are doing tremendous amounts of thinking and being in our heads that therefore our body's speaking it to us by making our body feel fatigued, telling us to take a mental break. Now, that's that topic in a nutshell. Let's move on. Actually, I missed the actual dynamic that I wanted to talk about, which is, again, we're going to speak mainly to the son aspect, but again, it is a family dynamic. We're going to look at the golden child and the black sheep of the family. So the golden child generally gets all the kind of love and affection and support that is not often given to the black sheep. The black sheep is generally the child that has the key to correcting the family's shadow side or the family's challenges. So again, in a family, you might have the hereditary health passed down as if we are a quiet people, then nothing bad will happen to us. We keep to ourselves, and in that way, we stay safe. Now, this is embedded in a family dynamic from generations and generations ago, but you'll see it passed down. A quiet father, a quiet mother, a quiet sister, a loud son. Oh, wow, why is that child so different? The way they've taken on life in that dynamic is to kind of rebel against it slightly. In this way, their opinions and perspectives generally are the opposite of the overall family. They're not going to generally get the same praise as the child who's doing exactly what the family sees as great behavior, because they can see that what the parents do is what the little child does, so they see that as good. Ultimately, the harder challenge happens to both children from different perspectives. The child that gets all the love and appreciation can't deal with life because life is a lot harder than they've been led to believe. The child that does with all the challenges and the fighting against the family to kind of show them that they need to change and they may not change at all. So then that child generally moves out early or gets kicked out or all those kind of things. This child will see how life is very hard. They'll start to fight against everything to kind of show themselves. This equally has its own challenge. Ideally, we have to know that there is the growth into the adult stage where the rite of passing used to be and that kind of thing. And that's where you come to terms with that you do have to change the way you view life to go into a positive adult living. Most people don't do this, but this has to happen. You are no longer a child, therefore you have to fend for yourself. And fighting against the world is not the best way to live life. And being afraid of the world because it's not what you thought it was is also not a good way to live life. There's people to help you with that process. Self-care is a great way to deal with that. But moving on from that topic, we'll go to the last topic, and this is accomplishment. So again, in accomplishment, we have the challenge of feeling good about what we do. There's no doubt in my mind, and if you look very closely, you'll see it's very prominent in men, that accomplishing something is very key. A lady is hurt, somebody is stuck in a situation, the guy leads with action. This action, again, is a physical manifestation of accomplishment. I did a good job, therefore I feel good, and I saw my work done well. Somebody's happy about something I did, I have some kind of fulfillment. Now, this is a lot harder, again, when things become less deep. If things are more surface and superficial, then it's hard for me to gain those moral standards that are very slow and deep and take time to be cultivated. And the lack of that makes me kind of anxious or uncertain about myself. Not sure if I did do that or was it something else. Can I take responsibility for that? Or maybe I take over too much responsibility. That was all me. I did it all. Look at all these great things. And it's not quite warranted. And again, it seems like no big deal until you hit a large challenge. Then the skills that you have are not adequate to take on this challenge. Therefore, life feels defeating, and it shouldn't feel that way. So there's certain skills that need to be developed in a slower pace atmosphere and cultivated by a kind of quiet confidence. This is going to be partly I talked about it when we talked about the feminine element in mental health for men, but also there is a very male version of the same thing. This is a steady, continuous effort towards a goal. So the grandfather that plowed the farm day or the fields day in, day out to cultivate food for his family. There's a quiet kind of confidence of working with the land and knowing that you've done that and your family is fed and there's a roof over the head. And that's how the proverbial home was established as a symbol. A man who's good can provide a good home, and that was his attribution. Now we don't have the same thing. Roles have changed, dynamics have changed. We're asking more emotionally of men, which is great. However, if they don't have the same moral strength of that kind of strong and steady, slow work, then we have a very dangerous situation. So this is why I suggested at the beginning that an apprenticeship style thing where a person can be an artisan, a creator, and we have that hard work leading to moral development, leading to finally an accomplishment, leading to an overall knowing oneself is capable of creating something beautiful. Now that is my second video. I most likely will make a third. Thank you for listening and have a great day.